What are some of the lamest excuses you've heard from cheaters? I'm waiting for your opinion on what's the worst thing you've heard from a scammer. Enjoy the show. Story 1, Top 10, my personal opinion. It just happened, as if there was no choice involved. I thought we were on a break, misinterpreting relationship status to justify actions. I wasn't sure how serious we were. Uncertainty used as an excuse for infidelity. You were too busy with work, blaming the partner's commitments for their own actions. I needed to confirm my feelings for you, suggesting that cheating was a way to test their true emotions. I didn't think it would hurt you if you didn't find out, assuming that what a partner doesn't know won't hurt them. It was just flirting, nothing happened, minimizing the betrayal by downplaying the actions. You weren't giving me enough attention, blaming the partner for their own need for validation. I was drunk and didn't know what I was doing, using intoxication as an excuse for losing control. I did it to get back at you, justifying cheating as a form of revenge. Story 2. I got tired of the routine, said the person who I always told to go out on weekends. But she didn't feel like going out, said the person who I told to come to my house instead of me going 4 to 6 days a week to her house. Said the person who I always surprised with gifts and food at work. Story 3. My friends are just going through the final stages of a tough divorce where they've tried to get back together multiple times and it hasn't worked. Recently, I found out from her that a year or 2 back, she found a few condoms in his work trousers when getting them washed for the next day. She didn't say anything to him at first for whatever reason. Instead, she just put them back and acted unaware of the whole situation. Anyway, the next time she had the trousers for washing, she found the same condoms minus 1 or 2 of them. She waited until the kids had gone to bed and asked him about it, and his response was, "They're not mine. I've been selling Viagra and giving away a free condom to everybody." Obviously, I found this highly amusing, and she does now too. But she also said that one day not long after she brought this up, she'd seen a wrapper in the footwell of his car, asked him about, and he then said, "Oh, that's the one we used." It was stuck to the bottom of my briefcase, and I only just pulled it off, rather conveniently for him, earlier today. Apparently, the last time they'd done it at that point was nearly a week earlier. He's a really high-up auditor earning ridiculous money, dealing with companies whose figures run well into the millions. And he's been to multiple important meetings with an empty condom packet stuck to the bottom of his briefcase for however long. Academically, he's really damn smart. Intellectually, he's a moron. Story 4. While blatantly not apologizing, she underwhelmingly placed all the blame on drug use. Like, oops, what can you do? Nah, bruh, it's what you can do. What you as a person, regardless of what drugs you're on, are capable of doing. I've done plenty of drugs before. Was still the exact same person with the same values and morals. Not once did a single unfaithful thought ever cross my mind while under the influence. I can be perfectly content and happy with what I am blessed with. It doesn't matter how high you are. If you're a real person, then that's it. You don't change because you are always yourself. It's not about self-control. Someone that will cheat when they are on drugs has an unlimited amount of self-control. They maintain a mask when they are sober, and then carefully take it off on command when the opportunity to shift the blame arises. I'll never be able to understand the reason anyone would ever want to violently traumatize anyone in that way. I couldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Story 5. I dated a woman after we'd been close friends for 3 years. About 10 months and some of our mutual friends called me up and sat me down and told me she'd been having an affair with her ex the whole time. When I confronted her about it, we weren't even fighting. She was like just super cold, and I really didn't want anything more than for her to just confirm it. I knew there was no point in anything more, but she felt the need to add something along the lines of, "But I have every right to use my body the way I want." Which is totally true, I never disputed that, but it comes with the side effect of making you an asshole. Confronted with that much narcissism, I just ended it there and never spoke to her again. Couple years later, I heard she was married. And a couple years after that, divorced with some ugly rumors floating around. Needless to say, none of that surprised me. Story 6. My ex, who, when he told me he was depressed and I would ask him if he would like me to hang out with him, would like food, what can I do to help, etc., would tell me no. He just wants to be left alone. He then cheated on me and told me it was BC. I wasn't there for him when he was depressed. I sent him screenshot after screenshot of me asking the above. We lived together, and he didn't even want me to be in the same room as him, so I was shafted to the spare room. And he told me they were out of context. I was like, no, they aren't. It's literally me asking to come spend time with you. You saying no, you want to be alone, then cheated on me BC, I did as you asked. Dude was just a straight up POS though, so, ETA. We were together 6 years as well. Story 7. She was blackmailing me if I didn't do it. She'd call immigration and cancel my citizenship. He didn't need to have sex after he had the green card and he knew he could leave, but he was a scumbag who claimed he was divorced and even publicly proposed to me like he was single. We lived together many years while he had a double life, but he felt he was the one who was wronged because I looked in his backpack and I was a terrible person. He would never forgive me for that invasion of his privacy. I finally dumped him and started over again. Story 8. Not really an answer to your question, but I would think it's funny when I was a teacher and kids give themselves away. The biggest indicator that someone is cheating is when their attention is focused on the proctor, teacher in this case. See, the people who are prepared will focus on the test. The amateur cheater, because I think the really good cheaters know this, is watching the proctor because they are trying not to get caught. I'd know kids were cheating because they kept looking at me. So when I noticed this, I would walk behind them or get into close proximity, and you could feel the sweat. Sometimes, this stops people from cheating. I thought it was funny the few times I'd walk over and just look at the kid without saying anything, to have them give themselves away and yell, "I'm not cheating!" Story 9. None. I knew. I let them know I knew and to not show up in the neighborhood with them where the person lived as well. One way into the neighborhood LOLA. The other one wanted to play some kind of game, so I said, "Go get him." That person did not like pulling up to where they left, and I was in the couch, fast asleep with an ex. People have an intuition sometimes. Story 10. Worked 2 jobs, one full-time, the other part-time, so she could stay home with our newborn. After a few months, I noticed she started getting angry that I was working so much. Mind you, she loved spending that money. Anyhow, I walked in on her banging a dude because you work too much. Story 11. We never did any dates or anything spontaneous. He does those things with me. We never went on dates because she would always find a way to weasel out of them, and we barely spent any quality time together because she never had free time. She was cheating for the entire last year we were together. Other friends of ours said that she'd bail on them when she'd tell me she was hanging out with them. For most of our 5 years together, she was cheating on and off. Story 12. I started cheating when I knew our relationship was dead. When was that? While I was still paying for your college and housing and vet bills and entire fucking life. When I asked you to go to couples counseling with me to work on our relationship, these people are the worst. I'm not sure if I'll ever trust a woman again. Story 13. I was assaulted at a party, and because of that he thought we weren't going to last. He believes it was my fault for it happening to me. He told me he had a body count of 28 different women during the 2 years we were together and wanted to get married. He thought he would be able to stop if we did. Yeah, not gonna happen. Story 14. One girlfriend tried to tell me it was non-consensual. Oddly enough, she refused to go to the police and had no problems going to work the next day where she worked with him. Also, the text messages I found seemed like it was pretty clear she was into it. Also had one girl claim that he was so hot that I can't blame her. She told me I would totally cheat on her if I had the opportunity to, with the female equivalent in hotness or whatever. Story 15. Everyone else is cheating, so I need to cheat in order to keep up. No one else is openly cheating, so that argument falls apart immediately, especially when they abuse the cheats to completely destroy other players on a live stream. I'm doing it for charity. Donating to charity doesn't give you a shield. Your actions do not get justified immediately because you did something nice with your money. You chose to abuse your power and decimate other players that can't properly defend themselves or protect themselves. Charity donations do not erase that from history or make people magically forget about it. Story 16. She cheated and hid it from me. When I found out, she said she didn't want to tell me about it because it might turn me on. Girl thought her life was a porn category or something. Relationship had entered a dead bedroom phase. Pretty sure I was just a meal ticket at that point without wanting to realize it. Story 17. That if I didn't introduce them or let them hang out so much, it would never have happened. Right after cheating on me for the 3rd time, while hanging out with a best friend of mine, and that I knew how she was when she was lonely. Yeah, totally. I mean, every time I'm lonely, what else am I gonna do? Stay faithful? What the hell are people thinking? /S. And yeah, I mean, for sure, why would I let someone meet my friends? I mean, what the hell was I thinking? Obviously, he isn't my best friend after that point. But surprisingly, in spite what a toxic bee she was, my friend and I made up, and I got to give him a punch to the arm every time we hang, though that habit probably got lost to time as well, and we laugh today about it. Story 18. She never admitted it, just gave me an STD and claimed she may have gotten it from using someone's drinking glass at a party. Then her cousin outed her for having an open box of condoms in her bathroom. Her excuse for that was that she had them in case her sister ever came over and needed a condom. Lol WTF. Story 19. I was the other girl. She never finalized her divorce and I was upset about it, and then I met you. You could have said you were already involved. You could break up before dating someone else. Then when you told me you did break up, you don't think it was wrong to lie about that and make me the other woman? His response was, well, I defended you. It sounds like your friends blindly support you cheating. I'm not looking for acceptance from those shitheads, but thanks. Story 20. This was years ago. Not me. But my cousin had an immature boyfriend who came from the same small town we did, and him and his family are sort of known for being crazy. Anyway, she was explaining to me one day that he told her that he has scratches on his back but not to worry because it was from a demon that attacked him in the middle of the night. The audacity, lol. Story 21. I got COVID, so I had to stay at home for 2 weeks, so she got a load of attention. Neither of us cared about catching it from each other as long as we were together, etc. The entire 2 weeks she was the only thing that mattered to me. Constant attention, everything she wanted. Queen status, basically. A few weeks later, she cheated. I liked what I was getting, and as you were going to work, I had to find it elsewhere. I surprised myself that I just let it go and didn't do any sort of revenge. Obviously, I haven't spoken to her since. Story 22. He spent too much time at work. Talk through the issues with your partner. Decide if you wish to stay in the relationship. Relationships end. It's okay. But do not just fuck some dude because you aren't getting attention. I am not saying you shouldn't get attention. We are humans. Humans are incredibly social creatures and require lots of attention, especially from our mate. But that doesn't mean you cheat on your partner. She was right to feel neglected, but wrong to cheat. This is from a woman in my wife and I's friend group. We both gave her a look like WTF. She had some growing up to do. I thought she and her partner should have split some time before she cheated. Like I said, relationships end, and that okay. Story 23. It's your fault. Before I was able to get a handle on things, my periods were insane. Apologies for TMI, but it is pertinent. I'd have my period for a week, 2 days where I'd stop bleeding, and then I was on my period again. Just in case it's not obvious, none of that is remotely fun. Between spending a small fortune on pads and all the cramps, pain and cravings, yeah, not something anyone chooses. I was bleeding more often than not, and my iron took a nosedive. Even still, I rarely denied him sex. I just preferred it in the shower if I was bleeding. That was too much of a pain in the ass, apparently. The kicker was one day we had finished in the shower. I was wrapped up in a towel, and in the short time between stepping out and dressing, a single drop of blood ended up on the bathroom floor. He absolutely lost his shit, called me disgusting. If he couldn't handle a drop on the floor, I'll let you fill in the rest. LOL. Finally left his cheating ass, though? Story 24. My husband's ex was a serial cheat, especially enjoyed destroying other people's marriages. Her excuse when confronted about her disgusting behavior, she claimed she was polyamorous. I don't think that's how it works, LOL. Spending your life cheating on multiple people or being a serial homewrecker is not a polyamorous relationship. She's a raging narcissist, BTW. Story 25. You wouldn't have a threesome with me 2 weeks after dumping me because I wouldn't have a threesome or open the relationship, which he'd never expressed interest in either, and promising he hasn't cheated. It was with his ex, in his mom's house. While his mom and her daughter were in the next room, during the pandemic while I was having oral surgery. Her fiancé didn't believe me with photographic proof of dates, times, and admissions, and his mom called me immature for tattling on them and getting her in trouble for lying for her cheating son to the girl's fiancé. Story 26. These excuses sound like they're straight out of a comedy sketch. I was just practicing my social skills? Seriously? Cheating isn't funny, but these excuses sure are a joke. It's pretty wild how some people try to justify their actions with such ridiculous reasons. Story 27. Our relationship has been dead for years. If you weren't treating me like a servant and dumping the kids on me all the time so you could go out with friends, and we actually had sex more than like 8 times a year, and you put some effort into the marriage instead of laying in bed staring into the void known as your phone, it wouldn't have been dead. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.